Alright guys, so I made a vampires deck last month and this one was an absolute banger. I really enjoyed playing it. It changed my perspective of vampires and it seemed like you guys liked it quite a bit as well. Now, one thing I think we both agreed on was that it would be nice to have Mashi Truffle in the previous version. Now, with the nerf of Ring of Favor, right, going up to 9 provisions, I'm inclined to maybe go and give it a try because we do lose a little bit of that tempo up front, but I'm finding that opponents often pass on us anyways in vampires. Once we get the flutter out, once we start getting some bleeding out, maybe an Alp or something like that, we find that they pass quite early, so Ring of Favor wasn't getting the best value anyways. So now, at least if we're able to establish a little bit more carryover with Mashi Truffle, it puts us more in a 2-0 situation. So I like that quite a bit. Obviously, it helps push more turns for the Erendite, it helps push more turns for the Regis, so it just feels a little bit more comfortable. Something else I did within the bronze end of this deck was I put the 2 Plumbards in, and I took out the Garkins. I had Garkin in one of the games today, or a couple games today. I had 1 instead of 2, okay? And then I decided to just go and take it out altogether and put Vial of Forbidden Knowledge. The reason why is because when you get the flutters out, you just want to work on the flutters. You don't really want to go and put one of these down. I mean, 1's not bad if you're just looking for something to do. It does get value. When we did play it, it did play for 8 or 9 points, so it wasn't a bad choice. It's just from a sequencing perspective, I want to get out the flutters early, I want to get out the Neckarats early, and then I want to start doing things like the Plumbards and the Alps to get the most payoff from the bleeding, and then before you know it, you're out of the round, which is kind of why this didn't work out. But this is something you could put in if you want in replace of Vial of Forbidden Knowledge. You can also consider maybe putting in like a movement tech. Something like the Drowner was actually quite appealing if I could find it, right? It has Thrive, we can move and damage by 2, so it's pretty versatile in that way. And then of course, something else that I thought of would be either a Megascope or a teleportation. So being able to replay maybe one of the Incubuses to go for a second flutter, or being able to replay the Alp and get the deploy and the order off this again once they've both been used. These are 2 quite attractive ways to go about it. Megascope could be good for flutter, but I find when you're running Erendite, you don't really want to take slow turns like Megascope for it. So that's why I didn't include it there, but definitely something to think about. Now, to go through the list, the main idea is we want to stay ahead of the opponent at the end of our turn every turn, and we want to make sure that we have bleeding on their units at the end of every turn, because the Regis basically gets 1 base power boost if it's, if we have bleeding on one of their units at the end of the turn, and then the Erendite gets 1 damage point added to the total if we have more points than them at the end of our turn. So these 2 timers or counters going on in the background are kind of what we're playing for, the late game payoffs, and it's quite satisfying when you get to a short round 3 with a huge 20-30 point slam, of putting down points, taking the drain from them, right, doing all that sort of stuff, and then of course just a huge Erendite. So good place. But Oneiromancy is going to help us with consistency here, being able to play a card from our deck twice throughout the game. We don't have a lot of thinning, so that helps quite a bit. And just in case we don't have the cards we need in round 1, we have the Cursed Scroll, allowing us to draw a card and put a card back. This way, it can ensure that we get the Operator in round 1 and the Flutter, so that we can open up with that turn that you're probably used to seeing, right? These 2 with a leader charge. And then this can also help it if we have any bricks in hand or things that we don't really want to see in hand round 1, like Regis, too many flutters, maybe Erendite in hand round 1, we can remove these cards, right? Put one of them back in deck, which can make quite a difference. So we've got the Regis Finisher play. I like having Heatwave in this space. Banish unit or artifacts quite effective, right? Being able to remove something completely from the game. There's a lot of scenario play going around. There's a lot of really tall units within the game going around. A lot of people running Ornate Censor. So if we get censored, we have a response to the censor, which is quite nice. We've got Crimson Curse, basically giving bleeding for 5 turns on a row, spawning 2 Ekamaras. This card here helps set up the Deadeye, so now we can basically put bleeding for 5 turns on one row and 4 turns on the other row, which is nice. Then we have an engine here. This card basically does 1 damage per turn. Death blow off a bleeding unit gives us an Ekamara, so we could just start getting crazy bleed potential into round 2, right? And then just also spawning units pretty much every turn on our side of the playing field as a result of Deathleft's death blow, right? Talked about Mushy Truffle going for the Plumbered. It's nice that we have the Golden Froth on it as well, because the Golden Froth can help a few things. It can help us float Fletters if we need to. It can help us keep the Alp alive if we want to be able to use the Order, right? Giving the 6 points is a little bit more safe. We have the Necarat that we can boost up to 6 as well, because this is an engine that's going to last, you know, for pretty much the whole round if we can keep it going. So a lot of things like that. We can make sure that we have the Plumbered, right? If we want to play a third one, maybe keep them bonded, we have time to do so, because we can click the Order from Shuffle, keep, you know, this safe and stuff like that. So it has a good place there, right? And Erendite, again, it's one of those cards that's probably going to see a nerf or change at the end of the patch. I'm sure it's just been kind of the forefront of the meta for the last couple months, and you'll see why in today's video. We get tons of damage off the Erendite, right? Toad Prince is pretty attractive here because we have a good control option, right? We're able to consume a unit with 4 or less power. We're generally going to be consuming something from their side of the playing field, so this card plays for 7 on our side, plus the 4 potential that it can remove from their side. So it's really nice to have something like that. I pretty much put Toad Prince in all my monsters decks if I can fit them. Just one of my favorite cards for monsters. Operator, again, is pretty much only going to be for Fletter. You know, I think anything else, you're giving the opponent value. Like these 2 cards are giving the opponent pretty big value. And Invigorate, I just feel like a lock's necessary. My previous version had Gale. And where is he there? Somewhere here. Yeah, so my previous one had Gale. My greedy version has Gale. This version doesn't have Gale because I wanted to put in Mushy Truffle. So that was kind of one of the changes that I decided to make. And I feel like a lock's just important. There's going to be something that we don't really maybe want to take a Heat Wave or an Erendite on. You know, maybe that's outside of the Toad Prince, like a 6 power unit that we just want to lock. So I felt like this is just something that I would want to have there. And then, of course, the Fletters, whenever bleeding is applied to an enemy unit, boosts out by the amount that was applied. Counter 1, refresh the counter at the beginning of every turn. So what we're doing here is we're essentially giving bleeding once per turn in a big amount, right? And we're usually doing that first so that the counter ticks off, and then we could just do the smaller bleeding second. So what I mean by that is if we have an order of this on the playing field and an order of this, well, this is 3 and this is 2. Whoops. Make sure you click the Alp first so that we're getting the 3 boost on this instead of the 2. And then click the order on this afterwards, right? Because it's only the counter 1 per every turn. But we get like literally every time something's given bleeding at the beginning of our turn. So 3 off these, 2 off these. The Undying Thirst would give 6. Our leader would give 3 boost. So we're getting the value of the bleeding plus the boost, which is really nice in that case. And that's why we have the Operator to begin with to make more copies of them. And that's why we have the Incubus to bring it back from the grave, is because these engines are just so valuable, right? And the Alps are probably one of my favorite parts of the entire deck. Given enemy unit bleeding of 3, Order given enemy unit bleeding of 3. So we get basically the 4 base power plus the 6 bleeding is 10. Plus we're giving 6 boosts to the Fletter because we have the 3 and the 3. So this card is like really, really good. And oftentimes the opponent will try and answer them, but maybe they're trying to commit to answering the Fletters as well. So oftentimes these will stick for the Order, and it's just really nice to see, right? So keep that one in mind. Necarats are one of those things where if they get removed, I guess it's not the end of the world because we have so many other ways to get bleeding. But if they do stick, they do lots of damage, and they get really annoying because pretty much every turn we're giving 2 bleeding to something. It gets quite nasty. So that's there. We talked about the Vial of Forbidden Knowledge. I like this because I like to see what's in the opponent's deck once in a while, and if we have to play this from hand, it's not a bad card to play from hand. We can keep something alive, right? Or keep it out of removal range. That's kind of why it's there. If I know what I'm playing against, I know how to bleed them. No pun intended. But I like Vial of Forbidden Knowledge quite a bit. But we talked about the other substitutes because some people don't. Undying Thirst is pretty much only good in a deck like this, pretty much because the 6 bleeding. Oftentimes we're going to use this when we're trying to bleed in a round 2. We might not stick around long enough to see the 6 turns of bleeding take full effect. However, you know, we get the initial payoff, the huge point swings. If we have 2 flutters, we play one of these, we get 6 boost on each flutter, and then of course they're also bleeding, so it makes it harder for them to stay in the round, and we could just maybe tempo pass and get a couple card advantage going into a round 3 off these cards, which is great. Feast of Blood is still going to be my tech to get around a defender, or to get through a Siri Nova, or something of that sort, right? It's pretty good value here. We purify something, we damage it by 3, and we give it 3 bleeding, so it's playing for 6, plus potentially the extra 3 off the flutters, and then of course the purify, which could be really good for us depending on what the matchup is and what we're purifying. So keep that one in mind there. Plummets are just good when they're bonded, right? Bleeding 2, so the first one plays for 6, the second one plays for 8 points. For 4 provision, that's really good. And then Squirrel is going to be my tech against the Echo cards. If we're playing against a Hengate Sword, if we're playing against someone who has an Erendite for themselves, Oniromancy, Amphibious Assault, all those different types of cards, we've got, again, the answer to that problem. Now, I want to show you guys really quick the other version, the greedy version. I'm going to be putting both of these versions in the description, so you guys can pick which one you like better. I took out the Erendite in this one, and I put in an Oriana, right? Because this could play for a ton of points with the way that the deck's set up. It's just, I felt like it was a little bit risky in my main version, but why not? And I put Gale back in instead of the lock and just said, you know what, we're going for it here. If we can bleed something down over a long round, this plays for a ton of points if we can get that death blow, right? So that, we're working on chiseling stuff down with Dettlaff. You could see how it kind of sets it all up pretty nicely for a good Gale. And instead of the Vial, I knew some people would be like, you know, I don't like this card, but at the same time, without the Erendite, I feel like Spores would make a really good place in this deck, so adding a Spores in that place was the other change that I made. And yeah, pretty sweet stuff. So we'll put both of those in the description for you guys here. And we just hit 500 members in the Discord server, so I want to do something a little bit special for that. And I'm thinking that we make a new emote. So if you guys have any ideas for emotes, let me know in the comments down below. I'll show you some examples of what we have so far for channel members, as well as Discord server members. I've got the original set that I made based on my spirit animal, the Sloth. We've got the Lippy Sloth for the content. We've got the Riot, Easy Game, the right? But then some of the other ones here, well, I'll show you this one. I got the Yen done, purplized and everything. So I'm kind of thinking we do something that's Witcher or Gwent related. Let me know what you think, and best idea gets the emote made. I'll contact my guy and get it done right away. So that's pretty much it, guys. I got 5 games for you today with live commentary for reference, and there's one thing I want to address before we get into the gameplay. I know some people have been asking if I'm getting tired of Gwent, if I'm considering leaving the game. I know recently we've lost a few key creators and players within the Gwent community, and it's sad to see them go, but I just want to say that I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here to the very end with Gwent, whenever that is, right? And it's just been a tough month to make content. It's been pretty dry, but we're getting through it. There's about 6 or 7 days left, and I'm just hoping that there's going to be some really good changes for next season. Despite it being one of the more boring seasons, I think we hit a couple milestones for the channel that I'm quite proud of, and I think that we came up with a couple decks that were unique despite all of the same stuff we've been running to all month. So trying to make the best out of a tough time, and there's better days to come. But for now, let's get into the gameplay, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video. Alright, so coming up first, we got hand buff. Invigorate Scoia'tael. This should be interesting. We both want a very long round 1, that's the thing. We do go first, though. Put back Dex, we don't need it yet. Probably these 2 that go back, right? Yeah, it's pretty good. think it's operator first. Yeah, operator turn 1. Maybe unranged. Yeah, I think what I'm supposed to do is get one of these floating and then play a second one, but not play a third. It's kind of annoying. They will get the damage, but here. The only thing I'm worried about is if they go and they take a circle of life plus 3, they get a good 6. That's assuming they have it, and that's assuming that that's the way it's built, right? They'll use Dunka, I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know if I care that much about that, though. We'll play our second. Just so we have them. Yeah, just not this one. It's probably just that. Like, I don't mind spending these in round 1, just in case they pass here. We'll go and see what we can pull into. Pull Mushy Truffle. I don't think Squirrel is going to be the play. So we got 6, and we've got 5. Okay. So I'm allowed to bleed as long as we can get the card back, because we got to be able to deal with it, you know? Okay, so we get 1 back, payoff, payoff. That's like the perfect hand. We pull into 1 or 2. This could be huge for us, but probably not, actually. They'll probably boost the Hawk Smugglers. Let's just go for it. I'll try and cram melee because I think that they're gonna have some smugglers and stuff that goes on melee. Here. Just play around a rebuke, turn Regis back on. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about here. Toad Prince, if had I known, you know. Maybe it's actually worth the take. But I'd be upset if I didn't get... Like, Erendite's safer, you know? Just because we want that back. We'll just play this next, and then, yeah. Okay. There we go. Get the symmetry going. Now, we got to be careful for Simlas and Leader. There's a lot of points that are within that play, right? We'll try and get down, I think, honestly, Undying Thirst next. Okay, they have bricks. Nice. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to stick in the game, like in the round for that long, but so we'll just take that just in case. We got to stick around though for a while. Like I want this to be worth at least 13, 14 points. Here. We're in a good spot for getting a lot of flips, right? There's lots of like 1s and 2s and all that. So maybe... This gets bleeding, we flip it. Yeah. We probably go Alp, Truffle. Yeah, Alp, then Alp Order next turn, Truffle afterwards.
Keep a stiff neck.
We're starting to see some bigger cards here, which is great. Okay. There we go. Too bad that dies next turn. I at least hit that one.
At your age, at 2 centuries, you behave like you were barely one.
I think this plays for more points, really. I'm glad these are not locked to melee anymore. It's helpful. And this one can't flip, so we'll just do that. So they use it sooner. There we go. So 13, the Heat Wave. And we've got 12 on the Erendite. This would probably be a pretty good time to pass. Yeah, they're digging pretty deep with Gourd here. I mean, it's like, it's Gourd or Heat Wave, you know? 20 points. I don't think that they're going to get it in one still. Because they've got, yeah, they've got a lot of bleeding. And they're missing on a leader too, because it's with 4 cards, right? They only have 3 in hand, assuming they're all units. They're missing a point. Well, 3 points. Okay, yeah, so 2 units. Okay, we got it 2-0. Alright, so we got Ysgith up next, and I think that this is going to be a pretty good one, right? They don't have a lot of control, so we could just let a lot of our engines stick, greed things out maybe a little bit more than usual, so looking forward to it. Okay, that'll go back for now. Just in case they play Erendite, this is important. Two Alps is kind of expensive. Undying is maybe like a round 3 thing. There's not a lot that I can do here, unless I take Onero now for Operator, which is probably the better bet, just to turn the engine online. So yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. This might be something that I jam quickly and then just get it over with, right? Yeah, and then we'll just, now we can just focus on the Alp play. It's either Alp or Nekarat. Nekarat makes more sense to me because we're probably going to go pretty deep in the round. Here. Yeah, then we take Alp next turn, and it turns back on the Nekarat, so yeah, that's better. Actually, that's one. I could do a second Flutter. Yeah, because then we could take it off bronzes, right? Do the Flutter, and then maybe dig for Truffle. Yeah. Yeah, because they're pushing here. I wonder what we're going to see and not see. I'm thinking maybe... I don't want to start putting gold cards back, but I'm considering Detlef, actually. Just because it's expensive. Like, I wouldn't even mind Detlef in a mid-round. So, for now, at least. I want to be able to play this one all the way down. Yeah. We'll take this first, I think. Yeah. Gets very difficult to keep up with when you got this much bleeding going around. Got Aaron dead at 6, Regis at 7. They're taking a Griffin there. Okay. So they're going to go up by 9 and down by whatever. Okay. Is there anything we can get rid of? Not really. Maybe I'm supposed to take this. Like this, you know? Oh shit. Shoot. I should have taken the bleeding on this first before playing this, because we would have reduced the cooldown by 1. That's fine. Okay, so they take it that way. That makes sense. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the other one. At least we have like tons of bleeding going around right now. Here. This will be my pass. I don't think we could do anything else. I think we have to keep it the way it is. Yeah. Siri? Okay. So we won the round, and they get a card of carryover, but we have a card advantage. But we have this. I'd probably still give them a flutter. Just because I know they won't do anything with it, right? These are engines for them. They're playing against the, I would say the meta list, right? Yeah. We should get the 2-0 here, I think.
Satisfaction guaranteed.
How many megascopes they play? Just the one? They might play a second one, right? I mean, I'm not opposed to just taking this. Yeah. Deny Sabbath, but also just, you know, prevents a megascope. We have Heatwave just in case we need it for something else. Actually, I'm just gonna take a Heatwave on that. That's fine. We'll build this up a little bit more. There we go.
Our world is in harmony.
It's probably Erendite next card, right?
Anything in particular interest you?
Then we can decide if we want to pass or not. But I have a Toad Prince set up just in case. Yeah, Erendite for 8. We just 2-0. Right.
Rich and I'm here to please.
I already passed. Alright, so we got Precision Strike coming up here first, and I think I know the one. It should be like the Dwarf Hybrid, I'm sure. Which I think runs Oniro, but I'm not positive. I know that I've seen some versions with Hengate's Sword and some with Erendite, so that could be important. This is kind of good, but it probably gets removed. 2 of these is pretty greedy. Okay. We've got everything we need in hand. I'm not sure what I'm taking just yet. I want to get a second one out without having to use a second leader charge. So I'm thinking about taking out the Alp, then floating the Alp after, and when we use order, put out the second flutter. It gives them a pretty good removal though, but I would imagine that they try and remove this around 7 before they try and remove... Okay, so this tells me they're probably not even going to contest, like they just start with the maxi, it's pretty slow. Actually, if that's the case, then I just go and I play something like this, don't I? And we want to pull... We want to pull one of these. I actually think I want Crimson Curse. We'll put that back, because I don't think I'm going to be using both flutters anymore in the same round. And Undying Thirst is kind of nice when I have both. Here. I think that they're out at 7. Yeah. Which is fine. I think I might be able to push a little bit though, because I have Truffle. What we want though is the Incubus, right? Nice. Okay. Okay, I think Squirrel's gonna go back here. That's cool. Yeah, Incubus, and then we just try and lay these down a turn at a time. That's kind of like the hand, yeah? Okay.
No worries. Sins of the flesh are my speciality.
Yeah, then next turn we play another Flutter. And then we can even boost them so that they have a hard time taking it down with the PS. If they play more Berserkers, we have the Toad Prince. We can eat one of them that way, so... That's gross. It's probably Blood Moon. Because then they'll use the order of this, you know? And Blood Moon's not really a big commitment. It's kind of something you just want to play. Like, it's good bleeding value. Actually, yeah, we'll just go both. 4 turns? Truffle was carryover, so I'll take that here. That's so pretty.
Wake up, dwarves! Humans lust after our lady.
Okay. There we go. Now we're just kind of running a little bit, aren't we? They got to use the order next turn for the dwarf. They'll flip those. We'll eat one, I think. Actually. Perfect. Okay, I'll lock Brewer.
Let's get to work.
I mean, I have Erendite, though. Which is a clean removal. Just in case they purify as well. Yeah. That Blood Moon did so much for us here. I suppose we just hit it. Four less power, might as well. It's good points, plus it takes the armor off the row, units off the row.
No mercy. Enid and Glenna.
So into company. I think they're going to do like a boost all Barclay type thing, right? So Erendite, assuming they don't squirrel it, which they can't, it's too slow. Get Erendite back for a lot of points. Okay, nice. I think we did pretty well in that round. Brewer, leader, both of those, tons of stuff. We just get big point slam finishes here. We can go for Heatwave. Okay. That's my opener. We'll reach for Heatwave. Erendite. Yeah, we should be good. Yeah. Okay, so next up here we got Deadeye Ambush, Scoia'tael. And I'm glad we can have a quick peek at what they're doing here, because I don't know what it's going to be now. Is it going to be, you know, the Dwarf hybrid? It's going to be straight up Deadeye. You know, it's important to know. Round 1, Incubus can probably go. That's nice. We got one from hand in the original one. I don't know if we ever need the Flutter. Maybe it's too expensive to do both. They do go first, so it's probably Scenario, but is it like Scenario Traps, you know? We'll see if they jam. If they jam, do I take Heatwave?
Don't dare think you can escape.
This is card for card. No, mine doesn't have Maxi, I don't think. I think I took Maxi out and I put this in. So what don't they have then? It's still pretty standard. Okay. I'm not going to do anything about it. I think we save the Heatwave for now. Heatwave the Venadane, if anything. Wait, why did it take 2? Did I rope? That's horrible. Wow. Okay. Like, that actually is pretty annoying. Here. Kind of changes how I would approach the round a little bit. Just wasting a leader charge like that, it's tough. It's possible we still win, but...
The Scoia'tael must the woods abandon. Join us instead and defend the valley.
30, 13, 35. I actually don't think I care about stopping this right now. Just because if they play Simlas or something to get ahead, that's actually not bad for me. That's just a tough break, though. This leader charge. But yeah, 6-point body. We just hit that up. We get the bleeding. Plus we get, you know, obviously the 6 and the 12. So that'll take us pretty close. Now, I know they have a heat wave. Okay. They'll fill up pretty quick, though. Here. Good value on the flips. Yeah, we know they're out of space, like, shortly. I think I'm still gonna take the second one. Too bad that's not working. I think it's important for me to get last say because of the Regis, right? That's the big thing. We take 9 damage on it. Is there ever... Do we have a line here where we can win this? 3? They're almost out of space. They got the 1 left. And then they either crack into heat waves... They have a Spores in hand, maybe. Because I know they have Spores in this deck and Heatwave. One of those can push us out of this round. If they use Heatwave, that's perfect. Because then I don't care about the Regis. Because it's base power. But if not, we play Truffle next. Okay, that's huge. It's huge. 70. Okay. 69. That works out quite well, because 1, 2, yeah. We just play this one here, and we get the 4. And then we don't have to click because they got so much bleeding. Okay, so Oniro 1. And then we got Isengrim, the Thin, the Yavin. Venadane, So we just have to worry about the Alyssa play, right? When we see Alyssa is when we should start getting kind of worried. I think this can go for now. And this can go for now. Okay, we gotta start working on this Erendite thing. And I want to make sure I keep last say, but I have to push it a little bit more. Okay, let's see. Might as well melee, please. There we go. That's like a good hand, you know? The only thing I'm upset about is that still that 1 leader charge, right? If I was able to keep it, it'd be a big difference. But we got rid of Verno and a leader. Okay. So that was a perfect bleed. I want to see Flutter. Which one's gonna go? Probably that for now. Locks, maybe. I don't think we care about a lock. But I also kind of don't want to see Erendite. We could pull it off this if I really need it. Okay. That's just so much better. Like, Erendite just didn't work in this game. The only card I don't want to see right now is Feast of Blood. I don't think we're going to get the best value from it.
May your sword and arm be one.
Okay, here's a lock.
Mankind is a virus, a plague.
Then we maybe just take Crimson. Hopefully they play beside it. Purify damage by 3. Toad's not bad. But I want to put bleeding, you know? Because we're making this worse if we don't start adding to it. Yeah, okay. It kind of works out, because then they'll start playing on melee, and then we just put this down afterwards, and then the rest of the game they just have bleeding on their side of the playing field, right? Oh, there's that. Here. How many waylays do we see? 1, 2, and 3? 4? Okay.
Act your age. At 2 centuries, you behave like you were
I guess they missed the Alyssa. That's good for us. Damage that one. Okay, yeah. I'll include another game. Okay, so next up we got Precision Strike, and we go first. Nice, so I just teched this into the deck after the last game. I want to see if it works better than the Garkin. The reason why is because Garkin feels a little bit slow. I think we could put back this in this round. Maybe Squirrel as well. Okay, so they're playing the typical one. They've got Ring, they've got Ornate. The Ornate's going to see a lot of value in this game. the highest and lowest. So they're going to come out with like 1s and 2s, and they're going to try and take our flutter away. So if anything, we want to get this out of the way in round 1, so we don't have to deal with that later. I guess they're going to use the Hengate. Okay. Maybe it's Squirrel? Yeah, maybe. Pull back one of these. I might regret that though with the whole Erendite thing. We just gotta make sure that we could stay ahead to take away some value from theirs, right? We'll play the next flutter. We'll go from there. Okay. Wow, they're really pushing me in a spot where we have to lock this now. It's really taken away from us playing what we gotta play. Here.
Mankind is a virus, a plague.
We should just be able to take round 1 though. I think at least. If we can go far enough into it, we should be alright. So we saw this. We got 1, 2, 3. Ring of Favor is going to be annoying. Ring of Favor is going to be awkward though if they have Censor. Like in hand, same round. It's kind of a big deal. I think we're supposed to take Toad Prince. They've got bleeding for 2. I mean, if I'm going to lose on even, it's going to be at 5, right? Okay, wow. That's a pretty big commitment. They get the 1 and the 2 here. $33.21. They're looking to pass on me, but honestly, that's a lot of golds. 13 and 10, 7, 8. They got the Onero. Hengate. They have Ring in hand, which is going to expire. And then we still get some carryover here. Like, their Erendite will be nasty, but so will ours. Because it's like a pushing for control type thing. Put that back, that's pretty good. Obviously having these bonded's pretty nice here too. Maybe it's Erendite that goes. Could probably afford to chuck it back. I hope they play us down here. That's where we're going to get a lot of value. It's just this long round. Okay.
And now I shall break you.
So Crimson gets me ahead. Most other things don't. That's tough. I just don't want to overcommit. We kind of want to have flutters for round 3, don't we? Or do we? Maybe we don't. No, because Ornate could ruin us. We got to keep last say. That's what we want to do. Yeah. Here.
Garments are
take that back for them, and then same thing. Get some bleeding. I would imagine that they do take leader. They could also take maybe with it one of the not toads, one of the dwarfs, the skirmishers. Skirmisher hits for 3. They've got the 1, 2, and 3. It's not enough. It's close though. They try it. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6 takes it next turn. I mean, we gotta accept that it's gone. I don't mind just taking this. Give them, like, a little less value overall, like, to push. Ah, Waylay does it too. Okay. We'll just play for the value here. Try and get bleeding on as much as possible. Maybe look for the carryover next turn with Mushy Truffle. And it's kind of nice, because if I don't go too tall, then Censor doesn't really do much for them, right? And we don't have much else to go tall here. And they spent so many golds in round 1. Yeah, here. Pretty much taking out everything. Now the Ornate will still play for like maybe like 8 points. They should have purified one of their own cards, I think. So I still fear for Ornate if we play Regis Last Say, right? Okay. Just 1, 2. Erendite's nice. We don't have an... We actually don't even have a way to get him. Maybe it's for the best. Oh, whoops. Take it that way. Let's take it that way. And then next turn, I suppose we could just put the subtle one beside it. Actually, we gotta find a way to bring out Detlef, because if I can... Gross, gross, gross. Okay. That just gives them... It gives them Censor. But then it gives me a Heat Wave. Yeah. We'll take Deadlaugh next, start chipping these down. Hopefully we can go a bit wider. They do get that brick. Okay. Yeah, we'll do this now. That kind of works out. So at least we can go a little wider with it. And if they don't have any units to, like, swap with, they're also in trouble. So let's try and remove as much as we can. Because they'll have Ornate, they'll have the... maybe the Simlas play too, yeah. It's probably Simlas Ornate or Simlas Erudite.
And beneath it, a storm can reveal.
I need to protect. Because the waylays, right? We got to keep, like, things looking decent. Okay. I think that's honestly the way to look at it, because highest to lowest is going to be my side of the playing field at this point. So it's, yeah, it's that. Okay.
You are no lunet of mine. Obstructive racists. If I'm to die, I'll do so sword in hand.
We just got it.